So if you wanted to get a business off the ground, you had to like put it in the papers and stuff, right? And then I read the story where it's like someone was advertising, like this was like, when everything was going green, right? But the internet still wasn't like really catching on and stuff. So
Yeah.
early days, and so basically someone in the papers is advertising a like a solar powered dryer, right? And then they put that in the papers. No, nothing else. Just saying a solar powered dryer delivered to you for this price, and pretty hefty price as well. I forgot what the price was, but people went and bought it, right? Because that's all it said in the papers: a solar powered dryer. People went and kept buying this, and all they got was a clothing line. And you can't
No.
sue for that because technically that's not wrong description. It's a solar powered dryer. I'm using the sun. So I thought it was fucking genius, bro. Honestly, elite level chop. Honestly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's gonna be hustling in all eras, bro. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah, that's fucked.
But yeah, people did that
That's
with the
gonna be me in the
PS5.
bear market.
Yeah,
Scalping the
exactly.
batters.
uh,
No, that's
uh,
jokes.
Alright, let's take a look. I'll just get started now. If you guys have
Alright,
any
go on.
coins, just like talk about it. You don't have to stay muted, by the way. If you want to talk, just leave your mic unmuted. Feel free to talk. It's not like a serious stream, like we're doing other servers where it's sort of like a presentation. All of you know what you're doing, so input whenever you want, or give me your
Sounds good.
perspective and stuff. But let's go live here.
Let me chart the same things that you chart as well. Well, no,
Yeah,
let me
bro.
send my shit
So
through.
let's begin with the actual thing, right? Bitcoin. I know a lot of people are losing their minds right now. We're still in the range. Obviously, we've had now we've had a valid breakdown from the range mid, right? Which is the number one step towards now. If you wanted to scalp, last time we were doing a stream, if you wanted to scalp, I said if you get any retest of this, that's where you scalp. You haven't had an exact retest of that mid yet, but bear in mind again, we've had a couple retests of that mid since the last time, but the last time we actually had a retest of that mid was all the way back in the 3rd of February, right? So like 5 days ago. But of course, as long as you're below the zero point 0.5, you're going to be targeting 93k, right? That is the range you're in, your 2024 seller zone. 12-month seller zone, that's the range you're in. But at the end of the day, until you've lost this entire area, right? I've already explained this, so I'm not going to go into it again. It's in my previous streams as well. But we know why Bitcoin's been ranging, even in terms of just two different forms of TA. We know there's three key support resistances here in terms of a 12-month basis, right? We've got a 12-month seller controlled area here, and Bitcoin's still chopping. And we also know that we have this fib speed resistance fan, right? We know from this consolidation period here, from this high to this low. If you take that consolidation period and you expand the golden pocket to that, that is what you have right now. You're chopping in between that, right? So up and until you go and actually lose this properly, I wouldn't be, overly bearish. Right? That's the point I'm trying to make, because I'm not trying to go off gut instinct or anything here. I'm simply just trying to go off what's based on the chart, because at the end of the day, that's going to be like what's most people are going to be basing their thesis around. For me, there's no major breakdown from a key area, like no major lower high, no, let's say, bearish divergence on the higher time frame, nothing distributive overall on the macro structure telling me like you're topped out for this cycle, right? Nothing yet. I don't mind, let's say, like uh starting to say, oh yeah, we might have topped out. If we get a breakdown and then we start turning this to resistance, then I'll have a way more valid reason to be saying, oh yeah, we probably, like, that was probably like a high, and now that makes sense, is distribution, right? And then you've got to confirm lower high. Then over here, you've got a way stronger confluence to be like, yes, like, the macro top is in, this cycle is done, let's go away for, like, however long it takes again until we hit our bear market lows, or until trend shifts, so on the higher time frame, so on and so forth. But on the higher time frame, the trend hasn't shifted yet, right? Even on the daily, like if you were to look at low high, high low, higher high, high low, higher high, high low, higher high, you're chopping, right? You haven't taken out the, let's say, the last significant low, higher low that led to the higher high, right? That's not been taken out yet. Even on the daily, like the actual macro structure is not shifted locally, yeah, of course, but it's still within range, right? On the weekly, the macro structure is definitely not shifted, right? You literally have a low high, high low, high high, high low, higher high, higher low, and then you've got a high high, higher low. That's a higher high, and before this could be another higher low before we go higher, right? So the structure hasn't broken on the higher time frame, right? So uh, if you're now, because people be asking me, oh, do you think it's time to sell alts? We've been taking profits on the way up, right? We didn't enter now. We didn't enter once Bitcoin hit the 100k. The last wide series of entries I gave was back in September of last year, but again, before all of these alts ran up, right? It was here. when Aptos did a 300% move or whatever it was this was, and then now it's back down, right? When SWE was still back down over here, we're still up immensely on that SWE entry from September, where literally everything was given. So do you exit alts? We've already taken profits and we're risk free, right? So anyone that entered alts when Bitcoin was at 100k, like those warnings were given. Plus, I gave literally no entries when Bitcoin was sat there ranging at like 108, right? No, literally no altcoin entries were given. Even Bitcoin long entries, nothing was given, because that's when you risk off, right? Or that's when you take risk off. You don't enter when everything's overextended. So if there are people, right, the people that are overly bearish right now, right, all the doom and gloom sentiment that you've seen on Twitter are the people that have either completely round tripped their bags without taking any profits, right? So now all of a sudden, like, you know, you're back to square one. Or it's literally the people that did go and buy SWE at, let's say, $4, right? That did go and buy Aptos up at $13. That did go and buy AVAX up at $50, right? That did go and buy, say, up at 66 cents, right? When I said, look, there's a macro 5-0 here, right? You had your bullish harmonic, and then you had a macro bearish 5-0 printed. I said, this is not a good time to buy, because you have, in terms of wave structure, you've hit your retracement, in which you've hit your extension from which a retracement back for a type 2 could occur, right? So the only people that are overly bearish right now are the people who either have round tripped their bags, or, and this is, I speak for the majority here, right? Of course there's going to be a majority of people who know what they're doing, that did sell at the top. There's going to be some people that are bearish down here as well, and that's fine, right? So people see the markets differently. From my perspective, especially if we're talking Bitcoin, which is again the main driver, right? Which is the main driver for this market. It's a very Bitcoin heavy market, like I've been saying all this time. It's a Bitcoin heavy market, and in my opinion, structure wise and range wise, for now Bitcoin is fine, right? So I'm not going to be calling a top yet when the chart hasn't shown me on a significant enough time scale for me to consider a significant top being put in, right? Not yet. If we see something like this and then a lower high, right? Let's say we completely break down and we retest this as resistance, then you have a reason to be in a scalp short, right? And the reason to be in shorts, of course, but if you see rejection here, you see rejection here. So if I turn that 0.5 back on real quick, should be here somewhere. 1 second. If I do this, lock it, settings, and let's go for range 1 to 2. There. So the last hedge short was given literally when we had that pump, right? So the last stream I did, hopefully now you guys also see what I told you. The last stream I did, don't buy alts if it didn't get in that capitulation wick, right? So the last stream I did was, I think, around either this, yeah, it was the 3rd of February, because the capitulation had already happened, and then we were on our way up. So I was telling people, look, don't bid, or if you missed that capitulation, don't add, right? Because we were sat at resistance, we hadn't closed above, right? This was true for everything. This was true for Ethereum, this was true for AVAX, this was true for Sol, right? Everything was sat against resistance. Same with Bitcoin, right? So the last stream, literally the last stream we did over here, what I said was, if you then go and close and you lose this area over here, you can try and hedge a short, right? So that trigger's already passed. Now, if you're not into that, right, we have other triggers over here as well, where, you know, a weekly order block, sorry, a daily order block here, for example, daily bearish order block. A bearish order block has once again been proven to be an area where sellers have taken control. That was a trigger there, for example, right? So I'm not in a short from this, because I'm already in a position. I'm not in a short from this one. I didn't add there. But if you missed this one, you can either look for, you know, retest off here that give you a lower high, or you can look for a breakdown and an eventual retest of this as resistance, right? Any sort of resistance you get down over here, you'll be able to scalp to swing mindset short to try and take that lower liquidity out, right? Basically turning what is very strong support into resistance. That's what you're looking for. Until that's done, you know, range highs is where you short, and until broken, range lows is where you take a long. Right, that's it. And if you get back to range lows and buys still keep on showing control, your risk to reward is going to be way better, right? On that time frame, on the lower time frame, looking at it, your risk to reward is going to be way better to the upside than there is to the downside, right? Now, if you start closing below this and then SFPing, right, the failure to reclaim from buyers, so on and so forth, then all of a sudden you have a situation where even though price hasn't changed much, the price action has. Right, then risk to reward would make more sense to the downside than to the upside. So it all depends on around what's happening at these key levels. But right now you are not at a key level, and that's the key point. Right, from here you could do this, from here you could do this. So for you to now, the best thing you could do for yourself right now is just not do anything. Especially if you're looking at Bitcoin, right? On the lower time frame, yes, you can go and you can look to scalp, right? You can see we've been in a very, very nice range on the 3 minutes. Anytime you've come to range lows, active sellers have come in, they've been absorbed, high lows have come in, it's been cash money along to the top side. Anytime you've gone back up towards local range high, especially here, like this, anytime you've gone there, right, and you've put distributive structure in, so over here was inverted smiley face, so on and so forth, it's been moved to the downside, right? So if you're scalping, of course, it's a different story. Like, you're literally up and down depending on around which key level, what kind of price action are you getting. But on a more macro scale, or to which base your positions around, base your entries and exits around, right? Basing, okay, do you hold alts or not? Do you get out of the market? Do you go cash heavy? To base all of that around, you're going to be looking at the Bitcoin chart amongst others like Total and Dixie, so on and so forth. Right now, you're not in an area to do anything to make that decision. You either go and make a clear lower high on a significant time scale, right? So this weekly candle still developing. You have 1 day, 4 hours left for this to close. This will be an indecisive candle, right? You can literally see this is a Darth Maul candle developing as we speak. Very indecisive, right? And from this, you could go up to make another lower high, or you could just go down and break down, or you could chop some more before going back up. Like, literally anything's possible. Like, this candle doesn't tell us shit. It tells us liquidity is being grabbed from the top side, liquidity is being grabbed from the bottom side. Sellers tried to break lows, it didn't happen. Buyers tried to reclaim the mid, it didn't happen. You're in this range, right? You're literally in this range if the candle closes like this. So then you're looking at, okay, well, here's your previous week close, right? Do you hold this or not? That's going to be the next thing I'll be looking for, right? So for example, if you close above the mid of this, that's a good sign, right? I'll be looking for moves back up towards, 99, no, not even 99, 100k basically, right? If you close above the mid of this by the time the weekly closes, I'll be looking for moves up back towards 100k minimum, and then you decide, okay, do you see SFPs there that could take it to the downside, right? 15 minutes, 1 hour, do you start to see sellers taking control in this area? If so, you once again scalp short, scalp the swing mindset, right? Just trim initial profits or range lows, and then if you get another lower high before you get stopped out, you just size up slowly, and then hopefully, you catch that short to the downside. Otherwise, you get stopped out, break even, risk free. Right, but this is literally an indecisive candle right now, while we're still within range, right? And that's the thing. You're at range lows right now. Anytime you go to range highs, you reject. Anytime you're at range lows, you bounce, right? That's it. So very indecisive, i.e., nothing much has happened. You can't really make long-term decisions based off this one candle, right? Or what's happening over here. People get too emotional. The same people telling you we're going to be bearish here. If we bounce, they'll be like, I told my Discord, or I told my people this. I gave warnings ahead of time that this was going to happen, right? Right, either way, it's never going to be like that. Right now, this is an indecisive candle. Anything could happen, right? We do not know. Look, both top side and downside indecisive, right? So let's see what happens. We're in some head shorts already. Our bags are from lower, right? So your risk-free bags, some of them have been stopped out. Some of them have still in the green, right? Some of them are still in the green. You're no risk, right? No plays that have been given since the Harmonic set the video, or some plays given in this own server, like Zen, right? Like XRP, like the different plays I've given, like PAL. Some of them, of course, PAL, we had an insane run and then we got stopped out, break even. But coins like Zen, right? These are still up, really, really nice, right? And coins from the Harmonic set of video, especially coins like Sui, coins like like Cetus, those were up heavy, and even though they're down red right now, it's still up massively from our entries, right? That's what you get from entering at the right time. So it's risk free, right? There's no need for anyone in a head to stress, is the point I'm trying to make. Like, I understand you can get a bit stressful, especially when you're bombarded on every day. When you're looking at Twitter, you're bombarded, absolutely just plummeted with, oh, it's bearish, it's bearish, it's bearish. I've sold, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Just screw the noise, screw what anyone says. You guys know what you're doing. You guys have a system, right? You guys know how to read the charts. You guys know how to analyze price action. Just think for yourself, make your own thesis up. That's the best thing you can do for your port right now. If you are sad, they're absolutely struggling, and you think like, I could not handle a heavy hit if we dump, then de-risk some, right? If you're thinking, yeah, I mean, like, I'm positioned, but I have way more if we go lower, then you're chilling, right? Which is why I've been saying in the server as well, the entries we did in that capitulation week, remember? I said, don't go all in 20, 40, 40. You've got more time than you think, right? When moves like this, you're not going to get that straight away, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you're literally chopping here for a couple more weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if you break the lows once, maybe grab these wicks and then reclaim and go, right? Anything's possible. We don't know until it happens, right? All we can do is prepare for that, which is why the new entries that we talked about, like in the last few streams, we've said don't go all in, leave some cash should you go lower, right? Or size up on signs of strength for this very reason. It's a Bitcoin heavy market. I try to get you guys some altcoin exposure, which is why I'm keeping you safe, right? I'm not trying to give you 100% poor, just enter here, right? We entered 20, 30%, round about there. We've got, for each allocation, right, we've got like 70 to 80% cash remaining to actually size up with, right? And I don't care if we have to size up a bit higher. I'd rather wait for confirmation than just get you guys absolutely chopped up in this range, right? Last thing I want is to tell you guys to just keep buying, and then you have no money left by the time you actually get the big flush, right? I don't want anyone in the server to be in that position. Rather safe than sorry in this case, right? You think about it like this: with where Bitcoin currently is, even if Bitcoin does do something like this, also gonna absolutely crumble. Okay, so right now the main thing I'm doing on a daily, or on a regular, not every day, but on a regular, is trading Bitcoin. That's it, right? Just scalp Bitcoin. because this is where liquidity is. This is the king. Bitcoin is still the king of the market. And then for everything else like alts, right? Either look for intraday plays, right? Try to get some sort of low and then like a few days, like a high that takes a couple of days to play out, not just a few 3 minutes, right? But yeah, I'm not going to be scalping, let's say, some random shitcoin. Right? I'm only going to be scalping Bitcoin. That's where the money is for scalps, in my opinion. And then you're going to be using spot and leverage to try and build positions on these altcoins to capitalize on the actual move up. Right? That's the way I'm thinking about it right now. Best of both worlds, right? But yeah, it's still indecisiveness, right? Obviously, locally now we're getting some insane price action. Sellers are clearly showing strength, but even amongst all that seller strength, we've not breached the lows yet, right? Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we did have one more drop. Like we were preparing for this. If we did go and absolutely just take out all of these wicks and fill the daily fair value gap, whatever, right? Fill the daily buyer seller zone. There's probably something on the weekly. You've got a massive weekly fair value gap, right? The mid of which is at, let's say, 85k. Maybe go tap that, reclaim, and then go higher. Wouldn't be surprised, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen either. Like I said, we need, like, structure needs to tell us, like, lower highs, right? We've lost, which after this candle, you've got one at least weekly close that tells you, like, at least buys on in control here. So then once this week closes, what you can do is put a weekly macro read or weekly just seller zone down based on this candle, and then see do you get any sort of relief pumps into there where sellers take control before you look for scalps to the downside, right? But like I said, if the weekly closes above this, then you're holding the area where previous buyers were active previous week, right? That'll be 2 weeks of strength coming into this area. So then I'll be looking for that pump up before you actually get that drop down. Right, so let's just see what happens in 1 day and 4 hours. Nothing needs to be done today on a Saturday evening at 8 o'clock UK time, right? Nothing's gonna happen. So let's just see what happens. It's been a very, very, I wouldn't say it's been that volatile, to be honest. It's been absolutely just chopping in between this tiny little range, as you can see. But yeah, that's Bitcoin. So let me ask you guys, what's your guys' thoughts on it? Are you guys bullish? Are you guys bearish? Are you waiting for more confirmation? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, really kind of what you said a little bit is I feel like structure really hasn't broken on high time frame, or at least we haven't printed a higher low. I was going to ask you in the middle of that, like what would be the price action that would make you bearish? And you kind of shared it with the middle of the season low, right? Printing a
Yeah.
higher low. That would be it. Really until I see something like that where we get a structure break.
Yeah.
Um, Failing bidders to make a new high, or not being able to hold the support. I also wanted to ask a little bit on, you haven't gone over Bitcoin volume history chart in a while, the 24-hour vol chart.
Oh, Bitcoin B volume in, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's time something pops up on that. It's been a while,
Let's take a
for
look.
real. It's been a while for real for anything on that chart to really do something, I think.
Yeah, this has just been I feel like this was way more useful like last, let's say.
Like in the bear market,
Yeah,
starting
bear
bull.
market, and then yeah, especially last bull run, right? It's been, the thing is, this is still useful. You can still use for me it's 2 to 5 days, right? You can do 24 hours, of course, but for me, like the sweet spot's like somewhere within 2 to 5 days. You're looking for that move after it taps, but it can happen after 24. Just basically give yourself between 1 to 3 on average, right? 1 to 3 days, somewhere between there on average, but 1 to 5 is the range within which you're looking for this. It's still useful to look at it, because then every time this taps, you're giving yourself a time frame for, okay, well, if you've got a daily tap within the next 24 hours, we could get a move. But when your actual range is so like tight and no market structure has been broken, right? So if I go over here and I go back to Bitcoin, it's not really that useful when Bitcoin's just doing this, right? Anytime BVOL comes in, it's really not useful when doing this. This is, in my opinion, this is way more useful, BVOL, when you're seeing like a break of structure, like it looks ready to go, right? Something like that. So for example, let's try and compare this. Let's look at the last proper move up that we had, right? So we had, let's go back to BVOL. We look at it on a daily basis, or let's see, weekly basis isn't really useful. So let's see. June of 2024, we got a deep tap, right? So we broke into this. You didn't really get any sort of reaction, and then you got deep taps, and then that deep tap around 0.81 cents started to hold for a few weeks, right? This is around June of 2024, right? So let's say 10th of June 2024, around then 10th to 17th of June 2024, you got the deep tap, and then you know you didn't really get serious reaction off it. So then you're thinking, okay, we look coiled up, right? We looked ready to spring. So if you go to that data on Bitcoin, between the 10th of July 2024 to wait, was that June or July? Sorry, I'm losing my June. Yeah, 10th to the between the 10th to the 17th week, right? Somewhere around there. Right, so somewhere over here, right? We've got the 10th, we've got the 17th, and what you're doing is you're giving yourself over here. One sec, let me confirm. So we have the 10th of 17th of June 2024. So let's zoom into that area on the daily to give ourselves a better understanding of what was going on in terms of BVOL. June, May. Right, but let's look for strict taps instead. I think that'll be easier than looking for the weekly. Let's look for strict daily taps, right? So first tap into the actual zone itself came in 15th of September. Wait, no, 2019. That's way too past. One sec. Let's go local on the daily. 2024 is what we're after. Yeah, I think that looked too nice. There you go. This is 2024. You can see absolutely dog shit price action in terms of volatility. We've just been chopping in the zone, right? BVOL's not really been useful, especially the last, let's say, 6 months. In my opinion, BVOL's not really been useful in terms of figuring out like planning for a move. Like when you guys went through the actual sessions, right? And we did BVOL and we looked over it, and I give you the example of 2022 and 2021 and 2017 and 2018. There was BVOL was working because you had, you know, volume in the market. There was you were having clean breaks of structure, right? So for example, you might have been retesting a mitigated bullish order block to the downside, so on and so forth. So you had a clean thesis to where should you go, right? But especially the last 6 months, we know Bitcoin's literally just been chopping around, right? What has Bitcoin been doing for the last 6 months? If we take a look, February, January, right, December, November, right? So the last 4 months especially, you've been in this range. You've not done anything. There's been no breaks in market structure, so it's been useful like trying to catch maybe some breakdowns on the daily. So if we tap this, right, 20th of January 2025, let's look for 20th of January 2025. You didn't even have a tap, right? So the actual tap happened on the 12th of January 2025. So 13th, 14th, 15th, yeah, it's like, you know, a whole week after that you got the move up, right? So BVOL's been a bit lackluster, let's say, compared to like, you know, how we used to talk about it when it was happening previous cycles. It's been really, really lackluster. So I've not been looking at this that much. It's not been that useful. But when you will look at this, in my opinion, so you don't waste your time just, you know, eyeballing this all the time and not getting anything out of it, is you just understand, like, basically when you get a breakdown from a key level and you're anticipating that retest, right? Go and see what BVOL's doing. Right, so if BVOL's you know, tap the zone and it's been a few days, for example, and what you're doing is retesting a breakdown, let's say, right, or you're literally consolidating under resistance, risk reward wise, it would make more sense for you to then stick to a short, because price action wise, if you're below resistance and you've already failed the retested the breakdown, and, you know, buyers haven't been able to reclaim that resistance, you're looking for moves down. Right, so what I'd be doing is trying to use this along with actual price action in Bitcoin to try and give yourself that time window, like using this how we should normally use it, just hasn't been fruitful, right? Just look at this. Compare 2020, right? Compare 2020, 2021. You've had clear taps that have given you the moves up, right? You've had big moves. Compare that to now. Taps just aren't giving you moves. And it makes sense because obviously the as Bitcoin becomes a bigger and bigger market cap asset, right? The volatility, let's say, increments is going to decrease and decrease and decrease. It's going to get less volatile. So at some point, we're going to have to completely revisit this strategy with BVOL. But for now, I think you can get away with, you know, timing this with where you are in the actual Bitcoin chart itself. If you're consolidating below resistance and BVOL's tapped in the zone and it's been a couple of days, for example, perhaps you get a move to the downside now, right? Similarly, if you're consolidating above resistance, right, above support, let's say, you've had a successful retest, you're consolidating above support, right, you've grabbed liquidity from the lows and BVOL's tapped the zone, and, you know, let's say a couple of days ago, then it makes sense to try and position yourself for a move to the upside. Right, but what you're not going to do is just literally just look at the BVOL chart, say, oh yeah, it's tapped, and then be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just going to enter a trade because volatility needs to come in. As you can see, this cycle, no matter how many times you tap this zone, you just look at it, right? This is the heartbeat of a dying patient. Very, very weak pulse, right? So, yeah, BVOL's not. I wouldn't use this as the focus right now, especially this part of the cycle, but that's the point I'm trying to make for BVOL.
Gotcha, I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's been lackluster to say the least. This cycle, it's crazy to look at, because as soon as this cycle started, let's see 2023, you can see how like, especially start of 23 was still like bearable, but it's just, to be honest, since 2023 started, it's been completely different to what it used to be like back over here, right? Loads of
Yeah, that PA
volatility.
is completely different for a
Completely
long
different.
time in a
Yeah.
row.
Yeah. But yeah, so did you have any other questions, bro? Take a look. Let's go back to Bitcoin index. But
This is being recorded though, right?
yeah, bro, this has been recorded. Yeah.
All right, cool.
But yeah, let's see what happens by Sunday close tomorrow. So right now, obviously, like, you know, what we're doing is we've turned the weekly buy zone, right? So before this capitulation, again, we had the weekly buy zone right over here. That's the reason I marked that yellow. On the daily right now, you know, you can look at the hourly as well. What we're doing is we're turning the mid of that into resistance. Not something you want to see, because of course, as long as this is resistance, you're not going to be surprised if you get moves back to the downside, right? So I'm not exactly saying take a short here. In my opinion, risk to reward isn't worth it in terms of a short here, just because you have a key level below you. The only way I'd short this here is if you actually get that breakdown and then a lower high into the zone. But you know, this is, if you get a breakdown from there, I'll be looking back towards, like, you know, 93k minimum, right, somewhere around here, and maybe go and take external liquidity out. You have all of these wick targets, you know, you have this, you know, this wouldn't be out of the question, right? So you have big accumulation zone, perhaps one sort of fake out before you get one last pump up to give the cycle top, or who knows, maybe this is it, right? Maybe you actually go retest 74k, retest this breakout successfully, in which case, you know, this would no longer be a valid retest target. I mean, it would be a valid retest target, but it wouldn't be as strong as the 2022 retest was, right? Because this retest happened after the entire bull market was done. If you get this retest before, let's say, you know, before we go to those higher prices, then the next time we do have a serious downtrend, let's say we put another lower high in, I would think we could actually go deeper than people think, right? People think we need to bottom at 70k next cycle. It doesn't need to be the case. We can easily turn 70k back into resistance and go way deeper, right? But for now, let's not get bogged down with that. There's no point even thinking about that right now, right? Don't even waste brain space trying to, you know, process that yet. This is the range and these key levels. What happens around these key levels, daily, weekly, buy seller zones around these areas, right? This is important right now, especially if you're let's say only position one side of the market, right? If you're full long or if you're full short, this is where it's really going to help being diversified and risk managed, right? But what I mean by that is you don't want to be fully in an up only market. You don't want to be fully long only. You don't want to be fully short only, right? Because especially not in the middle of a range. So if you get that lower high, you get any more confirmations of, you know, still sellers showing control over here. If you get one more pump up, you tap the 97 and sellers once again show control. Moments like that, when you look for scalps, right? You try to build that scalp to swing shorts, right? Maybe to hedge your spot backs, maybe just to have a short position open to hedge your longs. But that's how I do so. And if you go down here and you're in heavy shorts, but then you see buys defending this again and the trend is holding, that's when you get, you know, open up hedge longs, right? Because of course, if you're fully short and you think this is the top, that's fine. But if the price action isn't then correlating to what you believe, you need to take that into account as well. You can't just be like, oh yeah, but, you know, but I think it's gonna go lower. It doesn't matter what you think, it matters what's price action showing you. That's the cleanest way, right? But yeah, that's Bitcoin. So literally so indecisive right here, right now. It's like extremely low volume, extremely low volatility, extremely indecisive. Major macro levels haven't been lost, but then the breakdown, locally speaking, has been confirmed, right? So currently, basically, if you think about this like a range, you're in this range here, right? That is the range you're trading. You do not want this range to break. The range between 108.76.95 to 93.666. That is your range, right? In terms of like just singular levels, that is your range. And of course, you're going to get wicks into range lows or, you know, liquidity rates, but that is the range you're dealing with right now. In terms of that, again, you're in the range mid, so there's nothing to be done here, right? High RR is going to be either here or here, and we've already had that. So if that's not been utilized, and, you know, that has been utilized, like I went over in last stream, then you're either looking for that tap back up again, or you're looking for a raid of those lows again, and then maybe buys trying to take control. If buys show control and market structure, like, you know, you get the raid and the high low, so on and so forth, then you just enter there, right? And if you get stopped, you get stopped, but that's not because you're a bad trader or anything like this. You know, trading wise, that's what you execute, right? And then if you get stopped out, because even if you did everything right and you get stopped out, then it just wasn't meant to be. The timing was off, or it's what it is. This fact is outside of your control. You can't position yourself 100% perfect 100% of the time. Right? All I ask you guys is please manage your risk in this area, and do not be overly bearish yet. Right? Do not be overly bearish yet, in my opinion. We need at least, let's see what this weekly, if the weekly, by the time the weekly closes, we're below 93,466, then yes, right, be bearish, right, because that's not going to be a good look. You're going to be below, like I said, the key levels that we need to be above, but for now, you're not below that. As long as you're holding like this, still indecisive for me. As long as you're above this, still indecisive, right, you're just in this big range, chopping between the top half and the second, and the bottom half. That's it. So that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at USDT dominance once. And Dixie and stuff, right? So Dixie, nasty work. That area over there, locally distribution confirmed, just like that. That's distributive, right, locally. But then again, you're looking for now, I'd look for this. If you get distribution here as well, then I'll look for that breakdown. But again, this is, you're holding support at the end of the day, right? This is just, it's crazy work, because as long as this support's holding, you're above very key resistance. We can see, right, above very key resistance. Used to be support in the past. As long as you're above this zone, ultimately you're looking for higher moves. But if you keep, distributing up in this area and supply is high, you're going to keep visiting this area, right? And the more taps you get here, the weaker it's going to get as more and more supply gets taken off the market, basically. As more and more sellers offload, right? Question: we just have to know which side shows us an edge. There's no edge shown yet. We just have a new range on Dixie, and that is it. Of course, we want a weak Dixie. We want Dixie going down, right? Traditionally speaking, we all know this. Traditionally speaking, we've had bearish Dixies. Dixie's in a downtrend when we've had these proper euphoric seasons in the market, right? Especially old seasons. We've had a bearish Dixie. Global liquidity. We want global liquidity to be increasing as well. Of course, global liquidity increasing makes sense, right? You don't want global liquidity just downtrending and downtrending and downtrending. Bitcoin, all these risk-on assets tends to follow global liquidity, right? Global liquidity right now depends, of course, on as well macro factors, right? So firstly, just what's the macro news, right? Is there anything that could severely affect the actual outcome for the policies the government said? What's the Fed going to do with its balance sheets, right? So like I talked about in my videos a few months ago, currently we're quantitative tightening, right? That's what's currently going on in terms of macroeconomics. The Fed is tightening. It's not easing, right? The quantitative is tightening. There's sell-offs happening. There's no purchases in the balance sheet, right? The balance sheet isn't being increased. It's being decreased, right? So you want all these for us to be in a proper just no shit's given, like 2020 2021 was, where you just put 10k into a coin, go to sleep, and that's like doubled overnight, right? You want to be in a proper euphoric season like that. All these stars need to line up, right? Everything needs to be in order, like the money flow, right? The actual macroeconomics, quantitative easing, the global liquidity can't just be in a downtrend, right? We want to see some consolidation and perhaps a shift of structure, global liquidity back to the upside, right? Give clear signs that Bitcoin dominance is topped out, right? That Total One is holding support and looking to go back higher, which you're doing right now, right? There's nothing bearish about this Total One chart. This looks ready to go, which is on our side. But all of these need to line up, right? And, those aren't going to happen straight away, right? And this is what we do, is we try to position our bags at the lows so that we're ready for when things like that do happen, right? Because by the time those have happened, coins will already, right? Your risk on assets would have already advanced, right? Quite nicely from the lows. The market always prepares beforehand. It's never afterwards. The news released, let's all of a sudden flock into the market. It's not. The smart money always is in before, right? Strategically. But like I said, there's I think it's too early to completely write off this cycle and be like, top is in, we're not going higher, put bear market on, right? At the end of the day, look at Total One. We're flipping, all-time highs, right? We're flipping previous all-time highs. The range lows have been taken. As long as we're above this, Total One's going to go higher. If Total One goes higher, the market share of Bitcoin is going to go higher. Doesn't necessarily Total One going higher doesn't necessarily correlate to Bitcoin increasing in price, right? Doesn't necessarily equate to that, because Bitcoin could be holding steady. Right, Bitcoin could be holding steady, or Bitcoin could be increasing price ever so slightly, while the rest of the market is nuking. Right, so if Total One goes full, let's say goes back towards range highs, doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin needs to be back at new highs or anything like this. Right, because money could flow out of alts and then get into Bitcoin. right? Which would increase the crypto total market cap if there's external liquidity coming in as well, right? What you don't want is no new money coming in. That is what we want to avoid, right? We want to avoid a scenario where the market is completely stagnant, right? It's PvP of just the survivors that's left over. No new money's coming in. There's no outside interest. We want to avoid that, right? But Total One is holding support. Right? In terms of Total One, in terms of the chart of Total One, there's no reason to be bearish on this. Why would you be bearish at range lows when that's being held? Invert this chart. Let me show you a trick. If you're ever not sure, just go and invert the chart. I'll give you a different perspective. Okay, if I was to go and invert this scale, would you be bullish or would you be bearish on this chart here? Right, would you be bullish? You're looking for moves back up. Right, oh, have I done this right? Yeah, would you be bullish or would you be bearish? Right, and the answer is you'd be bearish on this chart, right? Why? Because look at the trend. Firstly, the macro trend is clearly to the downside, but what are you doing over here? If you go to the higher time frame, right? Look, you have major support here. This is a breakdown. This is a failed retest. If this was a ticker and you saw this, would you long or would you short? And the simple answer, hopefully all of you should be thinking straight away, is short. You wouldn't long this. There's no way on earth you'd be longing this here. You'd be shorting this, right? So if you'd be shorting this here, if we invert the scale, it's just under the way, in case you ever feel like you've hit a brick wall if looking at a chart, invert it, right? Just ask yourself, okay, what if the opposite were true? What would I do, right? No one in the right minds would be longing this here, right? If you long this here, you're a shit trader. It's what it is, right? You're longing at resistance with no confirmation of you accepting that resistance has flipped to support. There's nothing like that, right? You're clearly in free fall to the downside, right? Trend is lower highs and lower lows. For all you know, this could be another lower high, right? There's no point longing here. No one in the right mind is going to be longing here, right? So if you wouldn't long here, then you sure as hell are not going to be shorting here, right? So as long as this holds, right, in my opinion, well, like, you know, Total One's fine. We look for moves back up towards 3.63 to 3.72 trillion, and ultimately, you know, I want to see that being flipped and go towards like this target, right? We have the XABCD 0.874, basically an 886. We know there's a deep crab in this zone. When there's trend massive extension golden pockets in this zone, there's key levels here, there's key levels above. We've got targets. So if I delete this and this, let's take a look. Can we see anything else on? Can we see anything else on this chart? So rectangle. Let me hide that. Let me hide this one. So group 3, I'm guessing is that. Okay. So with group 3, I'm going to add this XABCD pattern as well. And then this into group 3 too. There we go. And this and this. No, this. Where's the other rectangle? Oh, there. Into group 3 as well. There we go. So that's all the key levels on. And let's see, do we have any new wave structure here that could potentially take us higher, right? So say we do base round here. On total, what have we got? We've got a 451 right now. So I wouldn't be, like I said, I wouldn't worry if we had one more drop, right? Maybe let's say towards the 0.5 for now, right? Let's just go with the next fib level. If we're looking for 0.5, we're looking for a 2.0 extension, right? So let's say we do get one more drop, and if we turn group 3 on again, you know, we have reasons why we could get here, like perhaps rate the mid, right? Stop everyone now. There's a weekly buy seller zone at the area for Confluence as well. There you go, maybe tap that and then go higher, right? There's a weekly buy seller zone. So if you go, and let's say you get the 0.5 and that were to base, right, then you'd have wave structures once again taking you back higher, not lower, right? These, at the end of the day, your higher time frame wise, this is the level you need to flip to support. On the higher time frame, you might get some wicks lower, but that's fine because we know on the higher time, these are 12-month levels we're dealing with, right? So there might be like a week where you absolutely rate lower, but if you're talking higher time frame structure, whether the market top is in or not, right, then you'd be looking for that raid and then the retest and then to go higher. And ideally, like, you know, when you see the loss of that, especially, and you see lower highs and you see acceptance back below here, you're already going to be head short, so you're not going to have to worry about much downside if you go over here, right? But we've got market structure taking us back to the upside. Let's say if the 0.5 were to hold. If not, you know, you get the 0.618, it's whatever, right? It's a 618 at the end of the day, right? You know, this will still be a valid retest, just a bit deeper than you thought, right? A week into the 618. If you got the 618, you'll be looking at the 1.618, right? So let's say for now, let's put this at the 618. There you go. So between the 0.5 to the 0.618 is basically within the white zone to down over here. 6.8 for the 1.618, right? Once again, your PRZ is going to line up with the already existing harmonic, right, with pre-existing targets basically, right? So again, there's confidence as to why this could play out, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is, don't be overly bearish, especially not the areas we are. Look, if you're going to be bearish, plenty of look, this is the area where sellers are stepping in, sort of warnings were given here, right? Which is the whole reason we took profits on our plays, and you put your stop loss to break even. If you're not bearish, not bearish, but rather if you don't sell anything there, I wouldn't capitulate when you're holding support, right? If you're losing support, that's a different story. But right now, you're not. You're holding support, right? And of course, no one in the survey is in that position, right? Obviously, but there's going to be people doing that, right? I'm talking in the general sense. It doesn't make sense to capitulate where we currently are, right? It's like, what the hell? Why would you not sell here, but then you sell here? Right? You're doing it completely wrong. You're selling support, and you're buying resistance if you do that, basically, right? So Total 1 looks great. Look, don't let anyone tell you Total 1 looks dog shit. At the end of the day, I still think Total 1 looks great. The macro, the macro structure's there. Yeah? Yes, you've hit your macro ABCDs, and that could now give you a deeper pullback. But then, like I said, 618 possible, right? It's possible. We could wig there. We're looking for, spend a couple weeks there perhaps, and then reclaim and look to go higher. That's what I look for. Look for trends back to the upside. But as long as, especially this grey box and this white line, as long as this area is holding between this dotted white line to the X, to the top, we're looking for higher. Right, if we start breaking below, 2021 all-time high, and you start seeing, let's say, 15-minute, 1 hour, if you're on the lower time frame, otherwise 4 hours daily, if you're on a slightly higher time frame, breakdown, and then you just can't get over on that retest, then you can head short, right? Even on Total 1, because then you wouldn't be surprised if Total 1 gave you that deeper pullback we're looking at towards those areas. Right, but now that's not happening. Look, that is not happening. In fact, if we close the week like this, for now, that's going to be a good weekly close. Now, if we now get a bearish engulfing candle off that, it's what it is. Right, but the point I'm trying to make, and the reason I wouldn't give you any shorts in this area is because we're at support. If it continues from here, it's what it is. But it's a gamble if you take a short here now, right? Because it's 50-50 whether you're going to do this or you're going to do this. It's a fair market at the end of the day, right? If you follow fair market theory, it's a 50-50 chance at any given point whether you're going to do this or do this. We just use TA to try and increase our probability that at that one given time and at that one given price, we're just trying to get that edge so the probability is in our favor, right? That's it. But there's no point shorting here now, especially if you weren't in any shorts up over there. Let's say, right, this isn't the area where you say, oh yeah, the top is in, right, at the actual retest of previous all-time highs. All of a sudden you're losing your guts and you're saying, oh yeah, the market's topped out. To me that's silly, right? It's silly. So, and that's why that is why I said 20-40-40 for any coins we do enter. Right, because there's no certainty this is going to hold, but when you do get retests of these carries, you don't just sit on your hands either, in my opinion, right? Which is why we're in 25-30% on the on our spot bags, on a few coins on the ones I put in crypto chat, right? So on the ones you put in, that's why we entered, and we've got loads in case we dip lower, as long as the key levels we have on our altcoins aren't demolished. We use that to buy, right? If no buy step in at our key levels, we just don't buy until they do. It's what it is. We're prepared for the scenario if we do get that one rate lower. But if we don't, then what we're doing, like I've already said, is we're buying into that strength at the shift of structure again, right? If the daily lower highs and lower lows gets trampled on, you put a higher low and so on and so forth, we're going to size up according to that. We're going to put our stop loss to break even. We're going to chill. If we then get stopped out again and then we get the dump, it's what it is. The market's just fucked, right? You can't read it perfectly all the time. But the main thing here right now where Bitcoin is, where Total 1 is, the main thing is elevated risks across the board, especially on coins that rely heavily on Bitcoin, which is pretty much everything right now, right? So Bitcoin, risk extremely elevated, right? You're literally at all-time high range. Any alts, risk extremely elevated, because if Bitcoin breaks down from all-time high range, these alts are going to get shattered, right? But alts also holding, pretty much every alt also holding their major supports, right? And deep supports don't mean major supports. People get this wrong, okay? So people think your only major supports are going to be if you put it 99% below where current price is. That's just deep targets, right? Buyers are stepping in 15% away from all-time highs and they're not letting sellers lose that level. That is a major support, right? People seem to have this idea that lower your support level is the support level is, the more major that level is. That's just not the case. That's not the case at all. You can look at many coins. You can go and look at Trump, right? The latest one. If you go to look at Trump, you'd think by now, oh yeah, we're deep enough. Why have we not pumped yet, right? Look how deep we've come. Why have no one bought in? This should be key levels. But look, is anyone actually holding it up? Yes, it's holding up, but no volume's coming in right now, right? Deeper doesn't necessarily mean better, okay? You can see, look at the dead volume. Is anyone stepping in? No, right? It's what it is. So let me go back in case there's any questions in the chat. Yeah, nice, brother. Yeah, that's the FIPS-P resistance fan right there, right now. That Bitcoin shop in between. Yeah, I've not even looked at it in terms of parallel channels in a while, to be honest. Well, let's look at it in terms of parallel channel. Yeah, log FIPS too, bro. Clean grind there. You're using the 5-day there? Nice. Yeah. Okay, so but yeah, that's Bitcoin, right? So let's look at some alts. Let's look at some. Oh, actually, no. Let's look at the parallel channel for Bitcoin first. I'm gonna look at this one in a while. Only been paying attention to the fib for now. But if we go to the weekly and I turn these off once. We're looking at need to do fresh intersections as well. It's been a while since I looked at intersections. I've not had the time to update them. Where's the, what did I call it? I call it that's pitch fan, pitch fib channel there. There we go. This is the one that's from that low to that low, from that high to that high, basically, right? Yeah, if we do that, where did we top out? It's the 1.5, 1.618 still above us. And again, what's the zone that we're interested in? You guys know by now. It's the liquidity rate slash front. In this case, it's not the liquidity rate; it's the front run. But we're interested in the front run of the range extreme. We're not looking for the perfect tap of the one. Remember, not in this system. There. So one more dive into that, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, which is why I'm saying don't be worried if you do get that one tap lower. Your one's right over here, right? And if this is lost, then of course you guys know what we're looking for. We're looking for this. But for this one here first, right? And that's if we get it. We might not even get that until we actually get a higher top put in. So we'll see. But for now, these are the two levels to watch for. For example, if we go here and we start doing this, right? Breakdown, and then we start turning this into resistance and then lower highs, that'd be another sign of, okay, distributive, right? But now we turn this on with even just the pitch fan we were just looking at. Hang on. There. This is going to correlate with a let's look at shallow ratios 1 to 2 for students. Look at this on the daily, not the weekly. On the weekly, your eyes are going to get crossed over, but confluence, you've got intersections coming up basically, right? If you're thinking about it, this is in terms of intersections. You've got intersections for lower. Plus, if we actually have an elongated chop here, like we were talking about before, right? It's very possible to have elongated chop periods. If you have elongated chop, right, we could do something like this, right? If we do get that pullback, we could do this into March. Very well, wouldn't be surprised. Let's say if we get the 1.618 by May, we're talking around 117k Bitcoin, right? New range. Go and use this back as support, and at that point, that's going to be 100k, right? Whereas right now it's a 96, that's going to be 100, and then you go back up. If we were to like chop within this range, like there's the higher targets that we have are still very possible. Market structure hasn't broken. Right, liquidity rate plus golden, front run of the range extreme in this case is down over here, which again has confluence depending on when you get there with a deeper level, right? So the one, there's a confluence around 82k intersection wise around 24th of March. If you were to have a pullback before a move up, right, grind down, 7th of April, right, we got deeper levels hitting. But let's see how it plays out, right? We can have all the targets we want. There's no point overwhelming ourselves with targets either. Let's just see what the market structure says. But for now, yeah, this is what can you say? This is indecisive, right? You're holding your structure. You're holding your structure. Locally speaking, yes, especially over the last few days, like the sell pressure has been pretty intense for Bitcoin. These candles tell you a lot, right? Look, every time buyers have attempted to go up, they've been met with a huge supply. We can see that. So you know, but then this is the reason why that hedge was given, right? The hedge scenario, which was after that capitulation pump back up, that closed below the 0.5 and the buy zone, right? This one right here, that closed below the 0.5. That was the hedge talked about in the last stream we did here. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. To be honest, I'm not even going to be worried. I'm just going to set some alerts for range lows, some for range highs, and whichever one gets taken out first, right? You're going to be looking at the chart, but you don't spend every waking moment of your life worrying about what's going on, what's happening. You're doing it wrong if you trade like that. Honestly, don't ever trade like that. You had to make this, you had to use trading to make your life better. You're not here to so that this consumes you and you end up like some sort of chart addict. Don't let it consume you. Very simple view right now though. Let's see what happens. We have targets lower. We've talked about it. We have targets lower. Right? We have liquidity rates lower. So one more capitulation event down wouldn't surprise us. But you're looking for those rectangles especially to hold. Those two to hold if it does come to that. First, especially I'd prefer something like this. If it came, you tap this into support, and then you literally just flipped, reclaimed your win, right? Something like that would be amazing if we got it, honestly. But otherwise, just send it back up if the bottom hold is successful. But in the same way we say vertical accumulation, right, which is the slow grind up, something like this, right? Vertical accumulation, vertical accumulation, that happened over here after the breakout as well. Right there, that was vertical accumulation. This is vertical accumulation. This sort of looks like, even though it isn't as clean as those structures, this is beginning to look like a vertical accumulation, or let's say vertical distribution to the downside, right? Like you could, if you were to look at this on the 4 hours, yeah, so sort of like, we're just grinding. It's like vertically starting to distribute to the downside, right? So based off that, we won't be surprised if we did get one more wick down. So just be wary of that. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So we look at ETH, we look at Sol, a few more coins if you guys are interested, and I'll just call it a day there. Ethereum, holding, Solana, what am I talking about? Yeah, Solana holding that key level, right? So this is the level I told you guys, look, as long as you're holding this, you're long. Look at that. Hang on. That was set down over here, right back over here on the 6th of February, 2 days ago. That was set over here. If you get below, you don't stay in a long. Very simple, right? So basically, you see a successful retest, you take a long. Like you guys know how to play this by now, but just in case there's any confusions, let me show you what I mean. Stop loss below your retest wick low, right? These are scalps. You're very tight with everything. You just go to your next key target. If sellers take control back up there, you're looking for scalps back to the downside. This is your key target. If buyers are showing strength here again, right? Successful. And if you're trading on the 3 minutes, for example, and you see something like this, this isn't something you'd long off, right? I wouldn't take a scalp long off this. Why? Because by the time that actual 3 minute candles close, the moves are already happened. Either you called the move based off an even lower time frame, or this is something you wouldn't play, right? So this is a long that wouldn't really be feasible because you close below the key level at the end of the day in this case, right? So then I wouldn't be long based off this. I'll be looking for some of the reclaim. So then if you close above and then you got a retest, that's where you enter on, and that's where this comes in, because then you actually have an actionable area here. You don't have an actionable area here. Why not? Because if you try to long after this candle, how are you going to manage your risk, right? Because if you're on the lower time frame, this is your next target. That's a 1.41 RR. Dog shit. I wouldn't take it, right? With this, once again, you come back down and you see buys are being active, right? So there's your confirmation wick, and how would you put your stop loss? Well, you've got data to the left now, right? You've got a local range. So you put your stop loss below your range lows, right? And then you once again go to these highs. And that was literally what I was telling you guys to rinse and repeat, right? That's why these 4 levels in particular were given. You had your weekly levels back up over here, and you had your yearly level that you were basing around down over here. So multiple opportunities to take the lower time frame plays on this. When you close below like this, right? In this case, you wouldn't have taken a play here anyway because the retest wasn't successful, right? So you stay out. But let's say you had a successful retest, right? Sort of like that red candle. And then if the following red candle closes like this, you just get out of your position, You just get out because below this level on the lower time frame, you are not interested. Right? It doesn't matter if it goes deep. After that, you just set some alerts up and only come back when you're back above this level again. And then you go back above, and then you see an attempt to reclaim here. You know, moments like this, you can once again take a long. Right? Why? Because you once again have an area, right, that's confluential on the higher time frame. And then you have an area that you can pull your stop loss around. In this case, you know, you have a lower time frame smiley face structure there. You have wicks to the left. You're saying, okay, I'm just going to put my stop loss below that again. I'm going to take a long because buyers are attempting to once again bid this area. Right, so these are you can see the price action around those exact same levels. Nothing's been changed. Right, eventually you flip this back into support, lost it, flipped it back into support, resisted, chop, 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 flipped it into support, went to the next level, topped out, distributed over here locally, and then came back to this level, and that once again bounced off that level back up towards the mid. Exact same area. Right, so this is why I teach you guys, especially in core, right? When we do core, and this is why we spend so long doing in the core, like when we do one-on-ones for core. This is why I spend so long going through the fundamentals and like in the basics of my system, right? All the way from just literal, what is support resistance, my own take on it, to then key inflection areas, to then buy seller zones, and then to fibs, and then you gradually get above. But significant levels, if you know how to find them, you don't need to change them. You just wait for price action to come to you, and you take a trade based around that. You simply read price action. That's it. You don't need to worry about, I've got another line there, another line there, another line there, another line there. You don't need to be putting a new line on your screen every hour or every day, right? You simply wait for price to get to your key level, and then once you see price action like this, right, you have a logical short in your arsenal. If you get stopped out, you get stopped out, right? But your risk is 0.1617% in this case, right? If you get stopped out, it's what it is. But what you're doing, you're targeting down over here ultimately. Right, once you get to a risk to reward you're happy with, let's say risk to reward of 3, right, 3.333 something, takes risk off the table there, put your stop loss to break even, right? If you're unsure about, but it could definitely go lower, right? If you know you're not going to be in front of the chart, if you're not going to be paying attention, you just want one entry and that's it, then take some initial profits there, put your stop loss to break even, and then after that your next initial TP is basically going to be at your next key area. If you're going to be in front of the chart actively, then TP and enter based off order flow. Do you see aggressive buyers? Do you see aggressive sellers? Are they being rewarded? Right, much more dynamic than just setting a limit up for a key area. Right, depends on how active are you in front of the screen. That's it. But now this is a logical area, or this was even, especially like this was not that long ago, right? Literally half an hour ago. That was a very good short opportunity for Sol in terms of a lower time frame scalp, right? And these are the plays you can size up on, right? Because your risk now isn't that far off, so you can take risks with these, right? If you wanted to go all in on one trade, fine. Why? Because your risk is extremely well managed. But if you go all in on one trade, you've got to be sure you get that risk on. Be very strict with your risk management, with adhering to your risk, right? And then be very strict with the TP as well. Just because you size up and you start the numbers going up all of a sudden, right? You're making plus 200, plus 300, plus 400, plus 500 within like a few minutes. That doesn't mean you all of a sudden whole day getting greedy, right? You make that money like within a half an hour, within an hour, you cut, you get out. You risk the reward hits, you take some profits, take profits, take initials out, take profits, and then leave like a bag that can go lower, right? That you can size up on even, because there's no point closing it all out if you get such a good entry. Because now if you leave an average here and you get another lower high, then you can size up worry free, right? Because your size up's gonna bring your average down, but it's still gonna be in the green, so you can put your stop loss to break even, worry free size up, right? But what you're not gonna do is, blindly long going into areas like this again, right? No, I don't know when the server now is going to do this. You're all way too versed in this now, right? But the key levels is the same key levels I gave you guys a while back, right? Nothing's changed. We just read price action around these. That's it. I don't know if a few of you have been scalping around these levels, so that's money made for you. Check the chat. KFA Fatal. Nice, brother. Yeah, looks to be a support for sure. Big liquidation wick. Took out the liquidity rate of the golden pocket, held it, and currently above the golden pocket itself. Key inflection area. Yeah, confluential area for sure. DDP.
Yeah, I ran that Sol long on the bottom of the 12-month seller zone. I got it about 3 times. Just TPing actually right around where that white line you have. I think that was the weekly seller zone from the
It was
1 week
indeed.
before.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly
So I
it.
was I was literally just doing that
Yeah.
play-by-play book.
Um, nice one, brother. Right. My boy. Look, if one person I'm back from the UFC is going to be right now, current market is going to be Shavkat, Mr. Shavkat Rakhmonov himself. Bro, he's a fucking beast, bro. Bro, he's an actual beast, man. Been following him from time. He's too good, bro. He's so fucking.
Yeah, he's good.
He
He's
just
so
beat Ian
cool.
Gary. Um, I heard he broke his hand in that fight. Shavat.
Yeah, man, he's too good. I
Who's
just
the champ in that weight class?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look.
He's a welterweight, huh? Or middleweight, I don't know.
Shavat. I'm looking up right now.
He's cold though, he's cold.
Bro, he's so good,
He
man. His highlights are a fucking pleasure to watch.
I think he's got to be middleweight.
Kamar Usman's weight class.
Welterweight.
Leon Edwards. Oh yeah.
He's Walter.
That dude.
He's welterweight.
What's his name? It's the dude who beat
Oh yeah, him and Belal meant to
Leon.
fight. Now I
Bilal.
remember.
Yes,
Yeah,
Bilal. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember his name.
Yeah, him and Belal.
Bilal.
Yeah, he fucks Belal. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see the hype in Belal.
He's
To be
so
honest.
good, man.
He's probably
19
Bilal's
wins,
worst matchup.
19 total
Yeah.
mixed martial arts record. 19 wins, 8 by knockout, 10 by submission, just 1 by decision. That's a worry, bro. Fuck, it's like it's so boring when you get it done by decision. It's like bust bun that, bro. Go, it's like either make someone tap out or you go unconscious. If you're gonna get in the ring to fight, fucking fight,
Really, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
bro. 19 for
No,
19.
Shaka
Bro's
does.
I love fighters that put on a show.
Yeah.
You know, I was a big McGregor fan when he was prime, just
Bro,
because
Prime
he put on
McGregor's
a
like,
show.
honestly, he was so good, man. And then he decided,
Yeah.
once he got into boxing, he got heavy and he got way too stiff. But, before he had that, like, his whole stance, he was so flowy, bro. He was so flowy.
I
Like,
called
he was
Izzy's
hands down.
fallout.
Yeah, like, hands down, being reactive rather than, like, once he started getting into boxing and he became heavier, like, he just lost that edge. Otherwise, bro, he was a beast.
Do you engage in a little bit of sports betting on UFC, Weatherman?
I've never done that, no, but I'd be happy to do so, to be honest.
Last card was wild. 12 of 15 underdogs won the whole card. That was with Marab and Umar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then they switched
Marab,
over to Islam Renato. I had a great 3-leg for that, but it ruined the whole.
Islam done him so dirty that fight. That was crazy.
I know. I had Islam winning, but round 2 to start, and I got like minus 100
Yeah.
odds on that because, well,
He done him.
he's
so
gonna finish
dirty.
him so quick.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. He done him so quick.
Oh yeah.
Scout short on, so nice
I want
one,
to see him move to welterweight though. I'll be wrong.
I want him and Lilia Torpilla to fight. I think that's really the fight.
Nah, it'll be
for
a good
both of
fight,
them.
but like, I don't know. Like he's giving these
He's way bigger
lower
than
weight classes
Torpilla.
so much. Wait, what weight class is this? Ilya?
Well,
Featherweight.
Yeah.
He's giving all these featherweights the lodge. They gave Volkanovski 2 fights, and I'll be real, he had everything to lose, innit? Like if they win, they get the belt, and like you know what I'm saying. If he fights another lower weight class, he ain't got nothing to win. I think he needs the chance to move and potentially get a double belt. Hold on, I'll be back.
Diego Lopez, if you know him, that fighter. One of my buddies, his dad's actually promotes him. I want him to go up and fight Islam. If he can't beat Torpilla. Or they were in talks about that.
He's featherweight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. Every UFC person likes him. Fun fighter and a very humble guy.
Yeah. We should have some like sports nights here, NBA, football, UFC. Just have a live watch party, boys. It'd be fun, man.
Yeah, we got UFC tonight, and I'll be watching it. So if people are in here, I'll tune in and watch it with y'all. I think it starts.
What are you man talking about? The UFC?
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
we should have like a section in the Discord where we just watch
Starts
like
at-
sports or something we're interested in
God.
together. That'd be fun.
Main card starts 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Wait, wait a minute. What football team you support?
I don't support any right now, bro.
Oh,
I've not
hell.
supported one in a long time. I've not been that deep into football in a long time. When I first came into the UK, 2010, I was a Man U fan though.
That's
You
good.
know, when he said
Yeah.
football
You
at
should-
first, I thought
you
you
should
meant
stick
the
to Man
Super
U.
Bowl.
Still Man U, yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely stick to Man U. Trust me.
Yeah, sure.
I
Right,
thought you
bro.
meant. I thought you meant the Super Bowl there, because that's
Oh
the
no,
Sunday.
no, that's the fake football right there. That's the fake football.
No, to be honest, American football is fun. Is really fun. But yeah, when we say
I've
football,
never played
this
that,
end of the
bro.
pond, we mean kicking with our feet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
This
Jack,
card is weak though for the UFC, now.
yeah.
I'm looking at it
Yeah,
now.
there's
It's
really only
proper
2
weak.
fights. Yeah, there's, you got Torpia's older brother's doing his UFC debut.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, wow, did it just get canceled?
Jack,
No,
who's
oh, it's
Poirier's
fighting
good as
Kobe
well.
Thickness.
I like Taporio too. My man's cold.
Yeah, his older brother, so we'll see how it is. He has half the fights of his younger brother,
Oh
so.
yeah, and then he's fighting the guy that he's fighting Volkanovski's prodigy.
Colby Thickness,
Yeah, that's like
he's 7
oh,
and
what's
0,
his-
so he's not any
yeah, that's
joke.
Volk's guy.
Yeah, that's his practice partner. Yep.
Yeah.
Volk's practice partner.
So both of them are going to be in the corner. Might be fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, there's really only two fights tonight that I'm watching. I want to watch really
Normally, what
bad.
I do is I just sleep and I wake up at 5 a.m. just to watch the main event
yeah.
because I can't be
Yeah.
up to
It's
stay
gonna
for
be
the
that.
whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sleep's fucked right now anyway. So by the time that it starts is when my body crashes. So I need to
Sometimes
get it
I have
fixed.
Sometimes I have buddies come over and we'll drink and watch, and one or two falls asleep before the main card starts because it starts
Oh
at
no,
like
we.
12 or 1 a.m. here.
I think the last time I done that was like I only did it when it's like good for my time zone, isn't it? Like 10 p.m. my time
Yeah,
zone.
yeah.
But last time we had a fight like that was ages ago.
20 days for monthly, 8 days for 2 weeks. Right. Right, let's go back to this real quick. Let's look at Ethereum. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people waiting for that wick to get filled. I'm kind of interested if you think if Bitcoin Dom's going to keep rising here, and we will see a wick filled on most alts.
Yeah, actually.
I know
Bitcoin
some
Dom
have
is
already
looks
done
like
it,
that as well.
but
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was warning about, right? These partial wicks, these wicks, capitulation wicks, they tend to get retested, even rated sometimes, right? Might not get rated all the time, but at least a partial fill, like that's a very normal occurrence, which is why, especially, right? So this is the warning, right? This is why I said do not buy here, right? If you missed that low, I said just stay off, because don't take that. That's a dead cat bounce, more likely, right? You need follow through after buys like this to actually confirm structure's holding. Otherwise, just treat everything that happens in moments like this. Or okay, you got your initial entries in, right? Position, you started building your positions. Treat it like a dead cat bounce, right? That's it. Turn this to resistance, the previous week buy seller zone, right over here. So in this case, seller zone. No, sorry, buyer zone here. You've lost that for now. So this weekly is gonna close, right? And if next week you get a retest here, just watch for this mid 2,800. If that's resistance, 15 minutes, 45, 1 hour, 4 hours, right? Just start building up short over time as long as you keep wicking below on those time frames. Okay, if you close above, then just get out your short and then just rebuild it by the time you get below again. That's it. Right, so if we close below here, of course, that's if we're lucky enough to get a breakdown retest, right? So we have 1 day, 3 hours left. If you close below like this, you either do that, which is no way you're gonna catch that short, right? There's no logical way to short here. Or if you're lucky and you want to catch a short, or you want to size up on a short, you'd be looking for another lower high at this area now, right? But so based on, if you go to the daily, the capitulation wick is right over here. Your macro read buy zone is there. So somewhere between, okay, so that's the macro read. This is just a straight up buy zone. Somewhere between, I didn't even need to do that. Somewhere between 2496 and 2503. That's the area I'd watch for now. See, if you do get down there, does that get held? If that gets held, I'd be looking for back up towards this zone. If that doesn't get held, I'd be looking for the key inflection area again. For Ethereum, really simple. But right now, again, I wouldn't do anything here really. It's a range lows. You can try and take a play off the daily buy seller zone created, but in that case, you just might as well wait for this, in my opinion, right? Because that's just waiting for every daily buy seller zone to get in. That's a very dynamic way of trading. You do that if you're trying to scalp. You don't do that if you're trying to catch swings, right? But yeah, it's very simple on Ethereum. Those are your key levels. If they hold, you enter right at those levels. If not, That's it. You just let it run, and hopefully you don't lose this key inflection area. Because if this is lost, like we said, 1,500 is what I'd look for on Ethereum. But that's ETH, right? So let's look at BVOL before we look at anything else. If we go to master list and we go to BVOL, not BVOL, fucking hell, my brain is fried. Right, Bitcoin dominance. So this is that butterfly that I put down in Unity, right? If you guys saw, if any of you were in there, I was putting this down literally the day the capitulation wick came in. I was putting this down, saying, oh yeah, this would be an interesting one if you hit it. And I wasn't expecting it to hit the same day, but we then got that insane move up. We've rejected off that butterfly. We've rejected off that right. Let me switch over to another. I need here. BVOL. No, not BVOL.
BTC
Bitcoin dominance,
DOM.
yeah. There we go. Right. So before there's confusions, let's hide those first. Right. Firstly, in terms of key levels, right, Bitcoin dominance, the next area I'm looking at, right, if this carries on and we do expect one more flush, that's going to correlate, in my opinion, with Bitcoin dominance getting a sharp spike up. We have a weekly fair value gap, or we did have a weekly fair value gap. Why have I got this marked down? 1 second. Daily, perhaps? Why on earth have I got this marked down? What's wrong with me? 1 second. Most likely a 2-week fair value gap. There we go. Yeah, okay, so we have a 2-week fair value gap just above us, right here. What we've had so far is a break above your 2019 12-month macro read buy zone mid. If we get a pullback, and we've already had a successful retest right over there, right, so any more pullbacks into this level is not necessary. But let's see, even if we do get something like this chop, right, if this happens and you start building local accumulative structure on this, I'll be looking for a fill of that 2-week fair value gap before looking for our next area where Bitcoin dominance could potentially top out. If this doesn't hold though, right, if buyers for Bitcoin dominance, let's say, if you were to talk about this in normal chart terms, if buyers are to flip this level, you get 70% plus on Bitcoin dominance. As crazy as it sounds, it's going to happen. Right, you're going to get this. So for now, key levels above you are 64.1%, then this fair value gap, right? Just draw that fair value gap out to find out what they are. Between 66.32 and 64.83, a flip of that's going to propel you towards 70.03 to 73.63%, right? And of course, you have lower time frame chop around there with these wicks, so that'd be an extremely valid area to get to. Seller zones, supply zone. I don't know if you get to 88% Bitcoin dominance, right? If they keep murking alts, then obviously never say no. But for now, let's forget about 88%, right? That's a bit crazy. Let's focus on, okay, max 70% for now, right? So let's see what happens. But yeah, this is the area I have. Of course, we might not tap that if, you know, you close the weekly like this again and you create a weekly seller zone and then you make a lower high at the weekly seller zone mid and then you start to pull down. We might not get this, right? But at the end of the day, at the rate at which Bitcoin dominance keeps expanding up and the trend, for now the market structure hasn't broken yet, so I can't leave this out of the equation. I won't be surprised if these higher targets get hit. So first things first, this zone and then this zone. Those are the two areas I'm watching right now on Bitcoin dominance. Now, if I do go ahead and turn those on, if I turn these two off, right? Let's do this bit by bit. First and foremost, this. If you take the first speed round from the low to the high, what we've been doing, this vertical accumulation kind of zone has been around the 764786, right? You can see that you vertical resistance, right? Vertical accumulation, breakout, and then flip to support. So clean, so clean. What was once resistance, you accumulated at that zone, and then you confirmed it to be support. You couldn't ask for cleaner price action than that, right? So that's number one. Number two, from the same pool, what you're doing right now, liquidity rate of the golden pocket. So in this case, front run, not liquidity rate, but the front run of the golden pocket. Right? Remember, if you're coming into it, it's a front run. If the golden pocket's above you, then it's going to be a front run, right? Because if you tap here, don't go to the golden pocket, then you front run the golden pocket. But if this is below you and you're coming down to it, this is a liquidity rate because this is where you expect people to enter, so it's a rate of that. For now, front run of the golden pocket has been achieved. You're SFPing off that huge front run area, resistance, SFP. So if you close below this, again, that's looking at the 2 weeks. Let's look at the weekly. If you close below that in 1 day, 3 hours, again, that could give you an next correlation to have, you know, a relief bounce on alts again, right? Maybe we do that, put on the high, lowering down over here before going higher. Very possible, right? So let's see what the weekly close brings us. That's my key point, because this weekly close is going to be very important. This weekly close, just because of terms of where you are, this massive SFP, the capitulation that's happened on all, so it's going to set some key levels for us to watch for the next few weeks, right? So that's number 2, right? So those, and then now another thing over here. So 0.34. Remember what I said? If your trend is strong, there is no need to hope for deep pullbacks to begin with. So again, this is now from this low to this high. So this is assuming for now that this is the high, right? If this does end up being the high, then this would be another logic valid pullback target, shallow retracement golden pocket before going higher, right? For now, that's not as important because obviously we don't even know if that's the peak yet, right? So not as important for now. And this is the other one I'm looking at, from this high to the previous cycle high to current cycle low, right? That kickstarted this cycle. So previous cycle high to previous cycle low, basically. What did you do? 0.8, and this is a level I've not really shared with you guys. I need to update that. I'll do a stream on this, but 0.852 got hit. Then after that front run of the 0.852, you actually flipped again 764, right? A downtrending level, which is now bullish, right? And this is bullish because it's saying, okay, this is your downtrending level, right? If you were bearish, then you'd be expecting those downtrending levels to push you down, but you're not. You're breaking above, you're flipping those to support. You're saying price action for this current asset is outperforming the projected downtrend, right? So the downtrend got flipped to support, and now you're at the 88687. So once again, you're at the deep extension levels now, right? So if you're looking for tops, you know, these are logical areas to do so, because if not for this, then you're going all the way back up to a 68%, 0.94. And remember, I don't believe in double tops, right? Well, I do. Double tops are a thing, but not, they're rarer than people give them credit for, right? If you really analyze it like we've done, right? All of you that have done this fib lesson, where I've explained my deep, shallow retracements, deep retracements, so on and so forth. I've explained the golden pocket liquidity rate system. I explained the liquidity rate of the range extreme system. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Don't actual perfect double tops, right? Those are rare. You either normally get front run for liquidity to get built up that gets rated in the future, or you get that and then you get that rate straight away, which gives you past the 1 to your 1.13 or higher, basically, right? So hardly do you get perfect double tops. So hopefully, like I'm hoping somewhere around this area is where we top out, because I don't want to, you see, if Bitcoin dominance is around 80% with current macro, you know, with current macro situations and current price action on Bitcoin, alts are not going to have a good time at all. Okay, believe it. If this is set around 80% and Bitcoin's still doing what we're doing today, alts are going to be absolutely trashed, way lower than what they are right now. So you know, I would not want this to go much higher, right? Let's see. Do we have any harmonics we can pull on this? So no, I can see straight away we don't. Not really. No, it'd be nice if there was like a bearish Gartley or a bearish bat or something like this. Maybe some ABCDs, but yeah, it's just, the pullbacks are too shallow. No completed wave structure. The pullbacks are way too shallow. You might have one on the larger scale, but then again, no one's looking at the larger scale for this, right? Because any harmonics you try and pull from here is going to give you way too deep of an extension. So there's not even any point looking at the monthly for this one. Now, locally speaking, you might have some harmonics. So this, for example, you know, we've already looked at that. Never mind. What about the ABCDs? Do we have anything? Right, the pullbacks are too damn shallow. That's the problem. Right, if you take the ABCD tool, and from example, right, here's your last pivot low, gave you this high, gave you this low, which was a 618. 1.618 would take you higher still, right? So hang on one sec. There's your 618. So 1.618 would put you around a level we've not hit yet, right? Let's say 65.62%. So we have an ABCD that could take us slightly higher on Bitcoin dominance, right? As another wave structure suggests. Apart from that, I don't really see any wave structure worth putting down, so I'll just leave that on for now. Well, before I completely write it off, is that a 382? I'll know. No, yeah, this is the wave structure I'll go with for now. So one more raid up perhaps, right? Go towards this area. Raid the 2022 12-month macro read buy zone mid. Hit the mid of the 2-week fair value gap, right there, bearish fair value gap. So you've got confluence now, wave structure wise, rate of key level wise, and then liquidity pockets wise, right? So around there is what I'm hoping Bitcoin dominance tops out, but we'll have to see. Just because I'm hoping, it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. So yeah, that's why, you know, this literally so many reasons why I've been telling you guys to, if you're looking to enter new positions on olds, right? And they're not positions back from September which you can size up on. If they're still in the green, go risk free. New positions, be careful right now. Don't go all in. Use the 20-40-40 method. You've got some time, right? You've got some time. This could, of course, it doesn't need to play out. We'll evaluate again our weekly close with new key levels and price action that commences after that. But for now, this is a valid wave structure. That's a target. It's a very, very nice target on Bitcoin dominance. So total looks fine though. We've looked at total, right? We've looked at total 2. Flip the mid. It would be much better if we flip that dotted white line back into support, but let's see. Total 3, literally reclaiming 2021 12-month seller zone low. Others holding range lows, right? If all of these levels hold, you've got wave structures higher. So let's see, do we get some follow through or not over the next few weeks, right? Don't give yourself a 2-day time frame. Give yourself higher time frame, like a month, couple months, right? A few weeks at the minimum. Give it some time for the market to really settle down, right? Let structure develop. Give confirmations. Others. Now, like I remember what I said, below these key levels, if you have any olds, you might, if you want to keep it really simple, just cut them, okay? Or at least be majority in cash if for your altcoin positions, because below this, there's a high chance of this happening. Okay, and right now you're literally chopping in between those key levels. So keep an eye on this. If you start putting lower highs in here, I honestly, I will not be heavy in alts, okay? Because that is going to be nasty. If this dominance keeps going down, and you're in some obscure alt, right? It could be very, very nasty, okay? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so that's Bitcoin. USDT dominance still chopping, but Bitcoin, USDT dominance is not looking bad at the end of the day. If we go over here, we have the macro. This was in the last video I released as well, but we've rejected off that 6 month, right? This is your 6 month seller zone, right here. Total area where sellers were in control in the 6 months, right? You've already rejected off the mid of that once. You're slowly trying to grind back up. But if you now take that capitulation wick, right, that was right over here, and you put the seller zone down for that, you're still below the mid of that. So if you keep staying below the mid, right, you're looking for moves back down to the downside, which is what I hope for. You start flipping that into support, and you start doing this, right? I'd be looking for moves back to the 0.5 and flip that. Then you're talking 5.53. And in my humble opinion, if sellers don't manage to get there, you're not looking for anything until this zone back here. So let's see what happens with USDT dominance. But many things, like I said, these are make it or break it levels. People people telling you every Monday, or people telling you every government meeting or everything meeting, this is going to be make it or break it. More time, those aren't make it or break it moments, right? Make it or break it moments are moments like this, right, where your chart is literally at the precipice of either reversing trend or having a complete breakdown, which many charts right now are holding very key supports or are parked up against very key resistance, right? Those are pivotal moments, and this is where you pay attention and lock in. Right, once the moves happen and you have a clear idea of what's going on, you build a position, whether that's a long or a short, calculate your risk, manage your risks, and you step away. There's nothing big about once you've confirmed what which side is showing an edge. The moment is when the edge is not decided yet. There's no edge shown at that moment from either side, right? That's when you lock in. Because it's up to you to read the signs that they develop and then develop a story for yourself, right? Okay, what's happening in terms of buyers versus sellers right now? That's where you go with. Right, so 1 day, 3 hours. Let's see what happens. But yeah, many alts to look at. Right, we've got deeper targets on some of these alts. I think I'll do another stream sometime next week for that, guys. I'm really, really sleepy today, so I'm not gonna do a massive alt stream. If there's any coins you guys want me to look at real quick, just let me know, right? And then I'll take a look at those. Otherwise, probably just call it here today. Just a quick one to update you guys on my thoughts, right? Going into the weekly close, see what happens. Many things, like I said, look, holding their key levels, 886s, right? So this is why it doesn't hurt to be, let's say, 30% exposed to your long-term positions, right? But don't want to be all in yet. I don't care if you're not all in here. I don't care if you don't bottom tick. What I care about is, did you lose any money in actually building your position, right? People will show you that one green trade that's 50,000% PNL, but they won't show you it took 25 different attempts to get there, being stopped out, right? So, and probably losing like half your port in the process of doing so. So, right now, just just maintain your actual portfolio. That should be your goal, right? If you survive this, right, you played that move up, you've taken profits, you put your stop loss to break even, someone been stopped out, your portfolio's not in the red, right? Your portfolio's green, you've got profits made, don't give it back. Literally, especially at here. Not after you've survived the actual move down. Don't give your profits back here, right? People think the easy part is like, actually buying, right? People think the easy part's, the hard part's buying when you need to. That's not the hard part, right? If you wanted to, you could go and buy right now. That's not the hard part. The hard part is managing your emotions to manage your risk down at these key areas. Because if you're looking at this and you can be like, okay, look how deep you are. Why would I not go all in, right? Because if you believe in Aptos, you're eventually thinking this thing's gonna go up to $20. But what you don't realize is maybe you chop it for 2 months before you go to $20. Maybe you chop it for 3 months before you go to $20. Maybe you take out $3 before you go to $20. Right? Just because you've had a 61%, let's say 69% dump, does not mean you cannot go ahead and then just dump one of the 40-50% again. Right? So just be careful with that. But this area, like many coins like this, right, holding key areas, AVAX at the 886s right now, literally, if this is holding, this is literally deep value areas. This is, you're just waiting for confirmation in terms of structure, in terms of just buyers showing you an edge here. That's it, right? You have plenty left to catch up on in terms of like a move, in terms of sizing up. So again, your initial back positions, like if then the red doesn't matter, doesn't hurt, right? So you putting like 25, 30%, 40% if you can handle the risk, it doesn't matter, as long as your majority 50%, 60%, 70% cash, right? Because you realize that, okay, well, we could get one more dump lower, right? And what you're looking for now is you're looking for the rate of these lows, and you're not going to set limits, or you can set limits if you want. If you set limits, in my humble opinion, set limits with reduced position size, because personally, the way I trade, it's limits are fine, but I don't want to go all in on limits, right? Because I want actual price action telling me that, okay, well, this is my key level, and buyers are actually stepping in. If buyers aren't stepping in, what's the point in just buying for no reason? You're just plucking it from the ether, only to watch no one else pluck it, and then you just keep going down, right? So if you do limit with, maybe like 50% of what you normally would do, right? So say 50% for actual confirmation that buyers have stepped in a key area. All in the name of risk management, right? That's it. Just maintain the current value of your portfolio. That should be the important thing. And then once you get confirmation buyers have stepped in, structure builds up, you turn local trend back to the upside, then you look for that move up. You size up because you're looking to have a good average on the right side of the V, on the buy side, to catch that bulk of the move up. Right? Oh, another thing I want to talk about, SWI, since it's breaking down and retesting right now, if the daily starts closing like this, it's very easy to try and actually scale into a short on this one. Okay, and my would be, if you get back above this area here, right, that's when you get out of the short. This would be a DCA zone for me for the short, because now you're getting below key levels, getting below your is it the weekly? Yeah, getting below your weekly as well, right? Buy zone. So SWI, if you guys, for those of you guys in the stream or those that watch later in the video, if the price is still around this area, and this wick is based on whatever rate comes in here, okay? So I'm just putting this random area. I'm telling you right now, this stop loss is based off, you're going to put this once, let's say price does go ahead, once you get that rate, right? If you get that rate, if you get the rate and you don't close above this wick and you close below, you're going to put this stop loss above that wick. Okay, that's going to be your risk management. If you do close above, then you just get out, is what it is. Or like if you wanted to keep it simple, just get above weeks, above 337.2, you don't want to be in a short. Right, but this is where I'd watch for. Again, I'm not setting limits here. If you do it with reduced size, this is where if you do go back up and sellers start coming in heavy, that's where you size up. If you're now looking for like an hourly trade instead of a swing short, then literally it's as simple as this, right? If you get above $3.07, you don't want to be in a short. If you start flipping this to support, you're gonna get to this area. So then you enter a short over here on SWI, right? With perhaps one DCA there, stop loss like that for a bit wider, right? And then you're targeting like targets like that, for example. But these are areas where you can short SWI. Okay, you can build a short on SWI, for example, right now on the hourly, like this. Like it's not the ideal entry, but it's still around where you are anyway. So this is just a hedge, right? It's 1.54% away, and even just to range lows, it's your 3.3 RR trade. So this is a short that makes sense in my eyes as a hedge to any long positions you might currently have open. if you flip this into support, are you looking for a long back towards this area, and then if sellers take control, you're looking for a short back down. Very simple. These are low time frame trades. But yeah, that's sweet. But yeah, there's loads, guys. PAL, right? Literally back at these key areas. Look, still holding the areas that it needs to. I'm not opposed to one more dump on PAL, honestly. But again, the structure for this looks amazing in my opinion. So yeah, there's many coins like this at key areas. All we have to do is make sure we don't get liquidated, right? And I know, by judging by how many people get liquidated on a regular, you'd think it's hard. It's really not hard. You just have to not be greedy. I've given you guys the framework from which I enter most trades, right? The 20-40-40. Just utilize that if you don't have your own, and just watch it. Just don't get liquidated. Don't. In my opinion, this is the moment. It's like, you know, you don't really care what's happening here. Once you get here, you want to buy. This is where you do so in a manner that suits you, where it doesn't liquidate you, right? That's the important thing. You're spacing your bids out. You're buying into. You're not buying into strength, sorry, but you're buying signs of strength, right? And you're making sure the trend is in your favor by the time you're fully positioned. You guys know the thesis by now, so that's all I ask. Hype, nice. Below is 12-month seller zone low though, so below this level at the end of the day, if you start seeing SFPs here again, you can take a short on hype as well. But it's holding the trend. Hype holds really well. Ondo, one of the one, I put that bullish news. Like, look at that, it's so strong. One of the stronger ones. Ondo. If you get a deeper flush on Ondo, there's these, like, you know, this area where there's a few harmonics sliding up. For example, you have a A, B, C, D. You have your shark, and you have like a bat as well, all in this area, right? So that'd be a very nice area on Ondo if we get it. Like I said, if Bitcoin dominance does goes towards 70%, right, and it does so with current price action, with Bitcoin chopping or slash going down, also going to get hammered, right? So then you're looking for that move down. This would be a really nice area for Ondo if we get it. So maybe, you know, if you want to set some limits, this is where you set limits for, right? These sorts of areas. Limit for Ondo there would make sense. This target right here on the screen, this sort of area would make sense for Ondo. But if you want to be more accurate, draw the harmonics for yourself. Click on the harmonics, go on settings, and figure out the exact price at which these coordinates are lining up. That's how you get this. I just eyeballed this box in. But yeah, there's the harmonic targets basically, plus your ABCD. That's the area where I'd be looking to get into heavy into Ondo if we got that pullback. But yeah, so let's look at LDO, last but not least. GMX up insane today. Farcoin, ME, what's going on? Why are all the shit coins pumping? Ah, yeah, same thing. They're pumping into resistance. Like, don't even worry about, oh, you're missing a 39% on pump on ME. Who cares, bro? Look where it's going to, right? It bounced off nowhere. Probably had a harmonic there, not harmonic, sorry, a fib level there maybe, but more market structure wise, that is a complete gamble buying in areas like this, right? So all you can do is, like, again, daily buy zone in here. You flip the mid and then you went higher, right there. There's your daily buy zone wick, and then there's your daily macro read of the buy zone. You held that area, you bounced up, but again, you're going straight into a supply zone. If you create this to be another lower high, you're going lower. If not, if you come through here and you start putting high lows in here, right over here like this, you start doing this, we'll be looking to convert some soul into ME. Okay, because now that's the type of structure I want to see. That's what I mean when I say I want to see structure coming in. I want to, you know, you have an area where clearly buyers are interested, right? Buyers are clearly very interested here. Now you need confirmation that buyers aren't gonna, you know, just give up and the price is gonna nuke straight back down. So then you wait to have some sort of structure develop. Either the last level high, the left of the lower low is gonna get taken out and a high low is gonna be put in, or this is just going to create another lower high and you come down, but then this time it's not going to be a lower high, right? It's going to be a high low or a double bottom, some sign of strength, and then some sort of consolidation, and then, you know, you start getting higher lows locally, and then, you know, your key levels start being flipped into support as well. And those, when you start getting signs like that, that is then when you start actually putting some chips on the table. Not here. So let's see. We'll keep an eye on ME. Farcoin, yeah, it held the trend line. Farcoin held the trend line. I'm going to long for this because of that trend line. It was in my Unity stream, so video I released on Tuesday. But yeah, the trend line held. You're having a nice push up. The zone, you tap the zone as well on Farcoin. DYDX, same thing. Actually, DYDX still below key levels, to be honest. Let's see, Rune, still chopping. The thing I want to look at is LDO. There we go. Still insane strength on LDO, and still, when I say this is one of the biggest chart, not biggest chart, sorry, one of the better charts There's no exaggeration. Look at it. Many charts lost their structure, guys. I've talked to you guys about this chart before, but it's still audio still holding up, right? You're at the area. If you haven't bought this yet, literally, like, you know, this is an area where it makes sense to bid. Right? Just look to the left. I'd put my stop loss in this case below here. Right? Very simple. If you're buying spot, something like this. If you want to actually set limits, right? You want a hard stop loss, I'd put it below wicks like this. Now you could, you know, you can take it wider and you can say, you know, but with wick there below, it doesn't matter, right? I'd put it below here, like this, right? My stops. One sec. Below this wick there to the left. Make sure everything's covered. Yep. Below this there. 19 to 20% stops here, basically, right? 18. Somewhere around there. Let's say 19.3% stops. You're targeting, even here, that's a risk reward of 3, worth it more than a 3, and, you know, just the range highs, 8.64. Right, so spot wise, if you want a hard stops, this is how I do it. But again, you guys know me, I prefer stops based on price action. So what you're going to do is, if you get below this and you close below, and on the lower time frame you see like buys just aren't able to get above, right? There'll always be signs. I'll just close it then. You don't really need to wait for this to hit, and just re-enter should you get back above that level again. But LDO definitely one of the stronger charts, okay? Yeah, we looked at OP. Literally rated its 2022 Tallman sellers on low. So last ETH BTC, let's take a look at that. Yeah, still holding the key area. I don't know if you get this chart. If you do, I welcome it. Otherwise, you know, these are areas where ETH BTC hopefully starts to base a bottom. Yeah, but I'm very interested in why GMX is up 21% on the day. So it went just past this mid. It went back towards this level here. I had this box drawn out as, okay, if you're gonna chop around here, this is gonna be the length, right? You don't want to start losing this box. Basically, if you lose this box, you lose previous all-time highs. Sorry, all-time lows. Sorry, not even all-time highs, right? So okay, if you reclaim the 886 again, right, you start doing something like this, and then, you know, you start basing here. That is what you're looking for GMX for entries. But yeah, Ondo. There they go, Ondo. Yeah. Right, guys. What I'll do then is, if you guys have no more questions, I'll cut this here. If you guys do have other questions, just reach out to me. Right, reach out to me on my DMs or in the group itself. We've hit a weekly buy zone on Cetus, by the way. This is one to watch. Okay, people forget how strong Cetus is, how strong Cetus was in that move up. Right, we realized 573% on the first move up. If a high low comes in, that's just a, you know, altcoin sell off after an insane move up. Right, these are the areas where we're looking for bids on Cetus again. You've got a weekly buy seller zone here, right? In 1 day, 3 hours, if this is successful, then I'll definitely like start picking up some Cetus spot. This is going to be the main dex for SWI and for Arbitrum, not Arbitrum, sorry, for Aptos amongst others. So if you believe in those two parent chains, definitely believe in this, right? So it wouldn't hurt to have some of this, definitely, as a DeFi play, right? So Cetus, very interested in this one. If you could definitely go deeper, why? Because you have an 886 again, right? Potential bad. Take a look at that. The 886 is going to be somewhere around this key level here. So you know, I'd be adding heavy if we got back over there. Just recompounding my original bids, but let's see what happens. Right, let's see what happens. But yeah, just reach out if you guys got any questions. Just tag me, right? If you guys want me to look at any chart requests or stocks, cryptos, commodities, anything you guys want, you guys know the appropriate sections in the Discord to do so. I'll reach out to you guys about continuing the one-on-ones from tomorrow, right? So I'll reach out to schedule it for next week, probably from the latter half of next week, but I'll reach out anyway once the schedule's, you know, 100% tight. I won't be able to take everyone on at once, of course, because everyone's waiting for me to carry on, right? So I'll get all of you done now, so I'll be back. So I'm waiting for that. Yeah, but yeah, guys, I'll end this here then. Yeah, if you guys have got no more questions, no worries, bro. No worries, guys. My pleasure. Right, I'll talk to you guys soon.